In this video, we're going to talk about the different types of AI agents that you can use in n8n. And specifically, we're going to talk about the pre-selected attribute type AI agents in here. So you'll see here on the right panel, we're going to add a node. You can click AI, and it'll show you this list of different AI agents in here. And so this is what we're going to be talking about here. And so I've put pretty much all of these onto the workflow editor here. And we're going to talk about them each in turn, but just so you know, this is where you're going to find them. And there are other tools, and we'll talk about a good number of these other tools as well. Not necessarily all of them, but just so you know, this is what we're going to be doing in this video. So these are kind of the main AI agents that you can expect to use in n8n. These are the ones that either they have pre-selected or are just kind of basic template AI nodes to be able to adjust and change as you see fit. Now, I'm going to have a chat node, chat trigger connected to each of them and show you how each of them work and explain kind of the ins and outs of each of them and when they make sense to use versus when they don't make sense to use. All right, and the first one we're going to start with is the basic AI agent. And in fact, that's what it's called. They're all going to be called, the name they have here over here in the panel. So I didn't change any of their names. So the basic AI agent. Basic AI agent has the option of either being connected to a chat trigger, like it is currently, or to define below the input. So if you define below, then you need to have some sort of user input. You maybe drag some information from a previous node, drag it in here as JavaScript, make it dynamic, add some other information. But here's where your user prompt is going to be. And user prompts are almost always just for the input for this execution, whereas your system prompt, which is here down under add options, system prompt, add system message. This is where you would give the instructions to the model on how to operate across executions. And this is going to be true for every single one of these nodes here. They're all going to have the option of adding a system message. Here for openai, it's actually add a message. It's going to be here under system message, but I'll get there in just a second. Information extractor, you can add a system prompt. Sentiment analysis, you can add a system prompt right there. All right, so you can add system prompts to each one of these models to allow it to have further clarification of what it's supposed to be doing. Let's go ahead and go in here. We'll see I have it set to define below because I just switched it. Let's change it back to chat trigger. And we're going to say you're a helpful assistant. That's totally fine. So if I open up my chat and just say hello, it's going to say hello back. Hello, how can I assist you today? Just like that, right? That's great. Well, what if I want it to remember stuff? So if I say, hi, my name is Bradford. Hi, my name is Bradford. I send it, it's gonna say, hello, Bradford. And then I'm gonna say, what's my name? What's my name? And it's not gonna know. I don't have that information, but I just told it, right? Well, the reason it doesn't know is because it doesn't have memory. Now you notice this node right here has the ability to attach memory. None of these others, if I show you real quick, none of the others have the ability to attach memory to. And that's because the AI agent is kind of your catch-all, your basic utility AI that allows you to really build out agents, not just LLMs, but agents. And so if we wanted to add memory, we'd click the little plus, and it gives us options for different kinds of memory. So I'm just going to choose a simple memory. I've got other videos on other types of memory, but for now, we're just going to do this one. And we have a session ID that gets tagged whenever it sends a chat message. So we'll use that as our key. And a context window of 5 is totally fine. So here's my memory, set that aside. So now if I say, my name is Bradford, it's going to say, hello, Bradford. And I say, what's my name? It now is going to know my name is Bradford. All right, so that's how you add memory. Now, if you want to add tools to your AI agent to give it the ability to act as an agent to do stuff, you would click this little button here, and it's going to be able to add all kinds of tools. You can add either other workflows, you can add code, you can add an MCP service. So say you have some other MCP server that you're using for tools, you can use that, as well as vector stores. You can give it additional memory. And I have another video talking about memory, or any other tool that is in n8n's library, or even just add an HTTP node to be able to make a custom tool for your AI agents. So AI agents are really cool because they have the ability to use other services. You give it some input, and then process that input, sends a call to another service, gets the response back, and then lets you know what happened through that service. And that is the real benefit of AI agents, and especially n8n, because all of these services have built-in tools that you can set up with your AI agents to be able to do stuff. All right. Now, what will happen is, what else you can do with this is you can also require the AI agent to output a specific structured schema. So if you don't want just an output that has just text, just like this, you can turn on this require specific output format. And when you click out, you'll see there's a new drop-down plus button here for output parser. If we click on that, we'll get another set of options. And your three options are this. You can do an auto-fixing output parser, which if I click on this one, it has this extra kind of bubble here. Let's bring this up here, I'll show you. And you have to attach a model, and the model that you're attaching is an LLM model, just like an AI. And what it's going to do, and we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to do openai again real quick, and we're going to choose the same model we were just doing. In fact, I don't need to choose it. I'll just let's delete it and bring it down here. So I already have my model sitting here in the middle of everybody. Might as well use it. So this is now kind of an AI-powered output parser checker. So now we're going to add an output parser, and we get the same three options as before. Like, oh, well, what is this guy? Why is he special? Well, what it's going to do is it's going to make sure that the output the AI agent made matches the schema that I'm requiring either from my item list output parser or from my structured output parser. Now, I generally like using the structured output parser myself because it allows me to just put in a JSON example of the exact output that I'm looking for, and that's what you would do here. Or you can use some sort of define below here. But I give it an example personally. That way it kind of sees what I'm looking for versus this specific, this is just exactly what it's supposed to be. I like giving it the example. And so what this one will do, the auto fixing output parser, is when the AI agent, and preferably you've given it some sort of system prompt that explains exactly how it's supposed to output. Once it outputs it, it's going to come up here. It's going to double check that it matches what's required by my structured output parser or by my item list. All right. And so my other option would be my item list. And this just requires it to have a certain number of items or to have a separator between them. So what are you trying what are you trying to put out in terms of how many things would be the item list parser? And so that's why I generally prefer the structured output parser so that it generates a JSON for me. All right, and so we can just do that, and I can just have a structured output parser just like that, set it in there, and it'll now output, well, I don't know if it'll break, we'll see. We'll test it again, what does it do? So my model's output didn't meet my required format, and that's because my input, which was what's my name, does not compute with my system prompt, which is just your helpful assistant. It doesn't know it's supposed to output anything in any particular format. It just kind of outputs something, and it clearly did not match my output parser. But I do have another video on structured output parsers. I'll put a link in the video below or in the description below on how to do that as well. So just understand, AI agents are your general purpose, does pretty much anything AI agent. It can, for all intents and purposes, you don't actually need any of these other AI agents. They are all just kind of fine-tuned versions in a way of the AI agent that kind of have some of the instruction already built in. The AI agent requires you to do everything yourself. Now, what other options are there? Well, I'm glad you asked. You can have max iterations. How many times is it allowed to run through? You can have return immediate steps where it returns the steps in between what it did in the tool call. So when I have my input, it goes to the AI agent. If there's a tool call involved, I can have it return the immediate step that it let me know that it called the tool before it responds to me with the end answer that I'm requiring from it. And so that has that'll allow it to output multiple different items that you can then process and just keep the last one. But that's a whole separate process. It's a little more complicated. We can also have it automatically pass through binary images. So say that I had some sort of Google Drive node before here that downloaded an item, some sort of binary image, whether it's a file of some type, and I just need it to get through this AI agent to continue on without it necessarily being processed by the AI agent. I can have it do that right here. And I can also batch processing where I require it to do multiple runs through at a time of the various items coming through instead of just one at a time. So say I had some sort of Google Sheet that have 100 different rows. Instead of doing one row at a time, I can have this process 3 batches at a time as an example. All right, and so that's kind of the general information you need to know for your AI agent. Your OpenAI AI agent isn't always going to look like this. If I come up here, I come over to AI agent and I click on OpenAI. If I did a transcribe a recording node, you'll notice that it's more square. It's not a rectangle. That's because the OpenAI agent that I have here, which is message a model, which is kind of the same thing that this agent is doing. It's just taking my chat input and going to converse with it. It can do tools. OpenAI can do tool calls. You'll notice it doesn't have any memory attached, but that's just because that's how it's set up. But it does have additional other options. You can change the temperature. You can change the max number of tokens. You can change the number of completions. You can change the temperature here as well. Normally, you would change it here in your model, but because the OpenAI node itself requires it to be the model as well, you're setting it right inside the node, you can change the temperature here. You can also change the randomness, max number of tool calls. Inside of this node here, the OpenAI message a model node, you input your user prompt, you can input your system prompt, you can input other prompts as well, an assistant prompt to tell the model to adapt to a specific tone. And you include all of that information here. You can also you can change it up. You can make it an audio node, you can make it an image node, assistant node, a file node. The OpenAI node is a very versatile node that allows you to do any of the API calls to OpenAI that you want all within one node. And that's not necessarily possible here with the AI agent because this is really focusing on it being the LLM tool using agent or even a reasoning agent. It's not necessarily going to be the image generation or audio processing agent. You either need an additional node that comes after it, or you need to call a tool to do those things for an AI agent. But for the OpenAI model, OpenAI node, you can do it all within the node, and you just change what you're doing with it. All right, another AI agent that I actually do really like is the information extractor. The information extractor does exactly what it says. It takes some input. In this case, we're going to put in our chat input, and then you would set your system prompt to let it know what you're trying to do. In this case, it comes with a predefined system prompt of your expert extraction agent. Only extract the relevant information from the text, and you define that relevant information here. So you can you have this drop down you can change your schema type from attribute descriptions. You can do a JSON or just a solid JSON. So either an example or just a JSON schema. But we're going to do attributes. And when you do attributes, it's going to give you this field here to add those attributes. So in this case, I'm going to say name, and it's going to be the name of the user. And so when I come back over here to my chat model, or open this up, I'm going to say my name is Bradford. We'll send that. It's going to run it through my information extractor, and it's going to output name Bradford. That's exactly what I was looking for, right? And so if you have a big document that you're trying to get some piece of information or numerous different pieces of information out of it, you can have it processed through this information extractor, and it'll make a structured JSON with each of those items and the relevant information pulled from the document. So I can just add additional attributes in order to create additional items or items within the output, and then just pull whatever information I need from it. So I really do like the information extractor. It's a nice quick way of being able to get my information from whatever document that I'm trying to process quickly and just simply. I don't have to fully program an AI agent. I can just set up an information extractor, attach the document, tell it what fields I'm looking for, and it pulls it right out. All right. Next, we have the sentiment analysis. Now, this one, has limited use cases, but those use cases are particularly helpful. So here, what it does is it's going to take the information from our input, and you can obviously change the input to whatever document that you're pulling from. But all it's doing is it's making a determination of whether the input is positive, neutral, or negative. So if I say something like, I hate this, it's going to come back and it's going to tell me that was negative. Oh, see, it's on the negative branch. That's because it sounds negative. So if you have, customer service tickets coming in, you can have an AI agent process each and every one of them and then send the negative ones down a different path, the neutral ones down a different path, and the positive ones down a different path. So as a particular use case, I use this one for email testimonials. So if somebody sends me an email, I have my AI agent determine whether or not it looks like it's some sort of just kind of comment first. If it's a comment, it gets sent through a sentiment analysis. And if it's a positive testimonial, my system will automatically send an email to that person saying, hey, thank you so much for saying these great things. Would you be willing to let us use this testimonial on our website? And that's a use case for your sentiment analysis bot here. All right. Next, we have a text classifier. Now, text classifier is probably my second favorite AI agent here, apart from the AI agent. The text classifier, what it will do is it's kind of like a dynamic if node or a dynamic switch node. It allows you to process the information and have AI determine what branch it should be going down. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of here. We have our input. In this case, it's just set to JSON.chat input. We're going to add a category of, let's say name, and we'll say the name of the person. And we'll say fruit as another one, the fruit mentioned. All right, and our system prompt is the same as kind of the sentiment analysis one. It's just a text classifier. You can beef this up if you want. In this case, we do need to change categories. We're going to change it to name and fruit. All right, and use the provided formatting instructions below. You can have additional other options. You can allow multiple classes to be true. If there's no clear match, you can have an other branch. You can enable auto fixing. So if it doesn't quite match up to what it's supposed to be, it'll fix it itself. And you can have batch processing. In this case, let's say something like, my name is Bradford and I love oranges. Oranges. Now, what will happen is it's going to pass it through both fields. You'll see both fields because my text included a name and a fruit. Aha! Now, you'll notice I didn't actually have the allow multiple classes to be true, which I'm a little concerned about because it shouldn't have sent this down both paths. It should have only sent it down the first path, which was the name branch, because that was the first one that came up. So slightly concerning. Do be aware of that. When I build my AI agents, I usually have allow multiple classes to be true turned off because I'm processing my input and I'm asking it to do a very specific thing and only send it down one path. So this is kind of concerning that it did it here, but it is what it is. Tests happen. That's why you want to make sure that you have a good, strong system prompt. Make sure you have a solid system prompt. Like I said, the link is in the description below for my prompt engineering class. If you have a weak prompt, you're going to get weak results, garbage in, garbage out. And in this case, this is definitely what happened here. It didn't know what to do, so it sent it down both. But this will allow you to give your AI agents a text input and then have it send it dynamically down the correct path. Text classifier is probably my second favorite AI model. Now, the other ones, I don't particularly care for the rest of these AI agents. Let's just get this out of the way. It just annoys me that it's there. Question and answer chain can be done in an AI agent. Like I can just set up an AI agent to do it. Like you have to build a fairly solid system prompt in a question and answer chain to give it enough context to be able to understand what it's doing. But let's go ahead and set this up. You'll notice that I have my model node, model path here, but we also have this retriever branch here. Let's go ahead and click that. We're going to do a vector store retriever, and we're going to have a limit of 4. We're going to pull this over. For vector store retrievers, we need to choose what vector store we're pulling from. So I'll use Supabase. All right, and then we're going to choose from a table. In this case, we'll do it from documents. And then you need to have an embeddings model as well on top of it in order to be able to pull information from your vector store based. So in this case, we're just going to use openai, text embedding 3 small. And so these things together allow your question and answer agent to actually work. Because what it's going to do is going to take your input, it's going to then search your vector store, and it's going to pull the answer back and give you an answer. All right, we come in here and we see that we have my chat input, and we'll also see we have a system prompt, and down here we have, it says context with these curly braces context. Actually, I think I might have broken my text classifier up here. Maybe that was what happened. So it should have said categories up here. When I've had this before, categories. When I've had that before, it didn't pull it thing properly. So I've always personally just rebuilt my system prompt entirely using this information and giving it the information of what the categories are hard coded in. But here we have this has context, and so if I come over here and I'll do a what's the greatest how about this? What did we learn in Greek class recently? So what it's going to do, it's going to pull from my vector store, and it's going to give me some information. In the recent Greek lesson, you learned the following: cherete. I think that's how it's pronounced. And then here's math. Oh man. I'm clearly have not been studying mathematis. Student, slowly trying to learn Greek, just slowly. But I have uploaded some information into my vector store about my Greek lessons, and it was able to pull it. And that, in fact, this is what the document was in my Greek lesson that I uploaded into my vector store. So it did it perfectly. It was able to grab it. So that worked great. Don't change that if you want it to have that context. Otherwise, it's going to error. It's going to say, oh, we don't have enough context to be able to pull the information. The context, that little curly brace context, tells it to pull from the vector store. Now, you do have some other options here of vectors. You can have a multi-query retriever. You can do a workflow retriever where you use another n8n workflow as a retriever to pull data. You also have contextual compression retriever, which is it enhances document similarity search by contextual compression. That's just basically a way of pulling information out of a document. Generally speaking, you're probably going to use a vector store retriever. All right, other options for AI nodes in n8n is the basic LLM chain. This is essentially an AI agent without the ability to use tools. So if we come in here, you have your same options. You can do a connected to a chat trigger or just define below. And then chat messages if using a chat model. You can set a system prompt here. You can also set your user message as well. You have the option of doing batch processing. Or if you set this to define below, then this used to be under options, but I guess now you have your system prompt here as well. I tell you, n8n changes things all the time. And so you can have an AI message, a system message, or a user message that gets sent to the model. And that's about all you can do here. That's it. You send information in and you get a response out. There's no bells and whistles to it. It is basically just input and output. And then our last one that we're going to talk about today is our summarization chain. And our summarization chain will take an input and it will summarize it. But what it's really doing is it's batching a summary. So it's taking your big document and it's going to chunk it, and then it summarizes each chunk. All right, and so I'm not going to be able to show you a great example of this with a chat input. I would need to upload some document. But just understand that you have the ability to give it additional prompting here. Same under options. So you can do different types of summarization. So a map reduce, a refine option, or a stuff option. You can also give it a final prompt on how to combine it, how to take all of those different summaries and combine them into a single summary if you'd like, as well as doing batch processing. And so I'll be perfectly honest, I barely ever use a summarization chain. If I'm going to, and this is for really, really big documents, I would use the AI agent, and I would just give it a system prompt that says, I need you to summarize this document and output your result a very specific way. These three ones right here, I personally never have found a good use for them. They just don't seem to make sense when I can just set an AI agent and build a good system prompt. Text classifier is probably my second favorite one. out of the whole batch, just because it allows me to branch my requests to my agents, or to be able to figure out where my information needs to go as my bot is processing. So as an example, most of my AI agent tools will have a text classifier to determine whether or not I have given approval to the agent to take the action that I'm asking it to do. And if I'll have a structured output from my AI agent, and there'll be a field called approval. If it's set to no, my text classifier will see that it's set to no, and then we'll classify it as something else. I guess I can do that with an if node, but if I can have it all go in one batch as well to my text classifier, whether my input includes the phrase or comment that I'm asking it to do, and without having to first process it with a different AI agent, I can do it within the text classifier. I'll use the openai nodes largely for their transcription and their image processing services. I don't really use it for the text, because I can do that here in the AI agent with more versatility. The information extractor is good sometimes if I need to pull specific pieces of information out and I need it structured a specific way, and I don't want to bother with an output parser. And in that case, I would use an information extractor, and then I would tell it what I need pulled out, and then it'll do it, and it'll generate it as a JSON automatically that I can then pull into other nodes and process it further. And the sentiment analysis is probably, it has limited uses, like I said, but those use cases are very strong for when you actually do need to use it. And that's it. That's pretty much how to use any of the AI agent nodes in n8n. If you'd like additional helpful n8n tutorials, or if you'd like a bunch of different free workflows, join my free school community. The link is in the description below. We have workflows ranging from social media posting bots to maps scrapers, executive assistant agents, and so much more. All kinds of tools that you're going to be able to use. Really cool bots that'll help you build your workflows, make them stronger, make them better. We have a great community of people who like to talk about AI agents. I really recommend joining the free school community. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.